One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. It's BV. It's BV. BV. It's BV.
Yeah.
It's BV. It's BV.
BV.
It's BV.
BV.
It's BV.
It's BV and Jellified, Jimmy Bean and Bly, reaching highest where we reach, yo, it's highest to the stars. Beats in the villain Jeep, vibrating other cars. Whose world is this? Yo, we say the world is ours. So we grow beards, no fear, photos so clear. Take another shot, so to speak, yeah, more beer. BV worldwide, put a fist to the sky. Cheers, cheers, New Year's, dope rhyme, good vibes. My crew speaks power, Chi-Town bleeds power. Knowledge, wisdom, and truth in the final hour. Respect, loyalty, family, charity speaks power. Here the village brotherhood speaks honor. Forwards and onwards, stay villain to the end. I will never shave again because my beard is not a trend. I represent excellence, leadership, and never follow. I'm a BBC member, yo, lieutenant of Chicago.
One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. It's BV. It's BV. It's BV. It's BV.
Hello and welcome to Friday night and episode 39 of the Heart of a Villain podcast, the podcast devoted to the bearded villains worldwide brotherhood and the lives they are changing all over the world. Hello, everybody that is a returning guest. Those of you who are just now chiming in for the first time here on YouTube Live, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. Glad that you're spending a little bit of time on a Friday night with us. I know you could be doing other things, but you are here checking out what is up with the BV. So this is awesome. Glad to have you. Again, this is BP from the Bearded Villains of Indiana, and I am also the host of The Heart of a Villain. I want to real quick say hello and give a quick shout out to everybody who is chiming in and the big audience that we have so far tonight. I may not get everybody here, but I know Jay was here. He's now watching on TV. We've got Chris, the Irishman, Hillbilly, staying up for us. I think he said his son is too. Jess is in the house. Man, we've got such great people. Sharissa, of course, where there's one, there's the other, right? Mr. Ramsey, of course, checking it in today. Richard's here. Let's see. Of course, I have to always say Jess. Such a great supporter of the program. Cole is here, giving a shout out to HTX. So Michael's in the house. Eldon's in the house. Boy, Cole, I'm making sure I didn't give anybody the... Chris, of course, back in the house here. We got Brainwashed Jake. I love it. Some of these names, I probably know people by their other names, and I don't, when they pop up on YouTube, it's hard for me to discern who they are, but I love it. I love it. So guys, thanks so much for being here. This is going to be I think this is going to be a really fun episode for the most part. We're going to start things off a little moderate here, but you know, it's 39 episodes in, and we're going to be doing an interview with a guy today that I've been wanting to do for a while because he's been around BV circles for so long. He's a traveling man all over the place. You know, I've premiered it a little bit and talked about Sudi is going to be on with us. I've also got the captain of the brand new chapter that just had a birthday. Yesterday, I believe it was, the new New York Upstate chapter. So I'm talking with Blue Puma or Blue, Chris, whatever you want to call him, whatever he goes by in your neck of the woods. But he's going to be on with us talking a little bit about their new birthday. Can't really talk about a whole lot because they're so new, but it's so cool that I was able to get him on for an interview on the day of their birth as a chapter. So we'll look forward to that. And then, like I said, a really in-depth interview with Sudi. Now, this episode is going to be a little bit longer probably than typical 50 minutes to an hour. So buckle in, stay seated, don't leave because there's lots of good information coming in this one. And just when you think you've heard it all, Sudi's going to drop some other dimes on you, and it's so cool. I got such a great interview out of him, and he he told us some good stuff that guys that are brand new in BV can take away from the interview, and guys that have been around for a while and maybe have just kind of stumbled a little bit and they need some rejuvenation. They need to be re-energized. He has some great words for us in that regard. So we definitely want to take some time to. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my little list here. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, we got those two guys' interviews coming up. But real quick first, I need to acknowledge and take things down a little bit and acknowledge a loss in our Bearded Villain community. Just a couple days ago, words come out, and that we lost a brother from our South Maryland chapter, BVSOMD. Lost Tad. Tad passed away surprisingly out of the blue, and he's been such a great brother. I unfortunately have never met him, but from all the accounts that you see on Instagram, on social media, as unexpected as this was, you just hear story after story of what a great guy this guy was. And so, Tad, we are thinking of you. We are thinking about you and your family. Prayers are going out to you, your family, your brothers that knew you best. And we just need to keep Tad in our thoughts and prayers, and his family in this very difficult time, for sure. Okay, guys, thanks for indulging me in that. And I needed to have a moment of silence there for him, quiet moment. So I know that our brothers at the SOMD are grieving, and everybody else that did know him is grieving today. And so I needed to take a moment out to acknowledge that. So thank you for indulging me, guys. It's always tough. It's always tough when we have a loss in our Bearded Villain ranks, for sure. So, yeah, I don't know what else I can really say about that. So getting back to our episode 39 of The Heart of a Villain, guys, I want to bring in, I've got an interview here that I did with the new captain of the Bearded Villains of New York Upstate. Now, it occurred to me just earlier today when I was watching another video from somebody who does podcasting and YouTube videos. They were talking about do's and don'ts, and about streaming and using live video versus recorded video and things like that. And they talked about pulling the wool over people's eyes or different things like that, and that sometimes people aren't very genuine about what they're doing when they're live streaming. So I think everybody here knows that my interviews 99.99% of the time are pre-recorded, simply because it makes it easier for me to edit things back down after the fact for the actual podcast audio platform, but also because that way I can play videos from interviews from people that don't have to be sitting by the phone waiting for me to interview them at 7 p.m. Central Time on a Friday night. I respect our brothers' schedules much more than that. And if I did that, I would never get the incredible guests that I have on a regular basis with this show. So I just need to point it out that my interviews 99.99% of the time are pre-recorded. And I didn't think there was any question about that. But I was also told that maybe it's a good idea to remind people occasionally that that's the case. But I don't know. So this is coming up, my interview with Blue, the captain of the new Upstate New York chapter. So I just want to play this for you. Not a whole lot of information here, but just the excitement, and you can feel how draining this process has been. And I caught him at the end of the day when they announced their birthday, that they were a new chapter. So you can imagine when that news hits, and he's been around BV for a bit. So when that news hits, everybody wants to congratulate you. Everybody wants to reach out and talk to you. So it was a very busy day. It was an exhausting day. And he was also working all day too, in his truck, driving around. So I caught him at the end of a long day. But it was important, I thought, to try and see if we could work our schedules out to talk to him on the birthday and have a little bit of celebration with him. So here you go. I have a very special guest with me today because, well, I'm just going to let him tell you the cool story about the week that it's been in New York for this gentleman. He is Blue, he is Puma, he is Chris, he is the Blue Puma. You can call him any number of things, but the one thing that you can call him now is the captain of the Bearded Villains New York Upstate chapter. Buddy, hey, Blue, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's been one heck of an emotional day, and it's been a wild ride.
Yeah, I love it when I can see when I'm scrolling through Instagram and we see something pop up with, "Hey, welcome our new chapter," and it's really cool to hear the stories of some of these guys that, like yourself, that have been around for a bit, and growth happens within BV, as we've all seen, and to see a new chapter pop up and to see the possibilities of what that means for the guys involved in that chapter. And not only that, but the area that you're talking about where you're growing into a new chapter specifically, and the outreach possibilities that you have. It's such a bright future, man. So for those who don't know yet, tell us a little bit about you and how things came to be, and where you came from, and now where you're headed in the future.
Well, long story short is, I come from Bearded Villains, New York, New Jersey. I was a member there for 4 years. I've been interested in the Bearded Villains since 2015, but with the growth and the way things were happening and different things that were happening, it took me a long time to find the chapter and get noticed and scouted. And it wasn't until 2016 there was some kind of miscommunications and missed events that I wasn't able to get to. When I finally got to my first event near the end of 16, became a villain in 17.
Okay.
Became charity officer, became lieutenant, moved on up. But I live upstate, and most of the fellas live in and around New York City and in New Jersey. Another fella joined from upstate, and we hit it off really immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the same goals and dreams of doing things. But upstate, I loved recruiting upstate, trying to get guys interested in joining the chapter. But guys have families and lives, and New York State is huge. You know, if you live out in the far west reaches or far north reaches, it could take you the better part of 8-9 hours to get down towards the city to be at a meet and whatnot. That's one way.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about, the distance, how long it would take you to get to New York City. Wow.
It makes for an expensive weekend if you have to take time away from your family to go travel and whatnot.
Sure.
So it was just a natural progression to extend a chapter up here. And I love my brothers in NY&J, and still do. They were my family for 4 years, and they will continue to be my family. But it was a natural progression that needed to happen to extend the brotherhood up here. Yeah. I just wanted to do something for the brothers up here that were looking for this kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, yeah, I love that.
And,
I love that.
I mean, it's not about myself or my co-captain Joe or anything like that. We're trying to do something to do something up here for not just beards, and charities up here, putting smiles on people's faces and touching some lives if we can in the process.
Yeah. Well, to that end, now we're just a day old here with you guys. This is birthday for you. But you already have plans, you said, to make a difference and get involved. You already have a charity event that you're already planning for the future. What's that about?
Yeah, well, I've remained friends with some of the leadership in the Special Olympics of Northern New York, and I reached out, tried to get a schedule of events coming up, and they have a polar plunge coming up in November on November 14th up at Lake George, about an hour north of me. It's sorry about that.
That's okay.
It's a ice cold lake in the mountains of the Adirondacks. It's cold in the summertime. It's going to be even colder in the wintertime. So they had 600 people up there jump in last year. So hopefully,
wow,
we can make it a little bit bigger this year and raise some money for the Special Olympics of New York.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you because I think, especially you're talking about an area of the state that's really not been used to hearing about bearded villains. So you're kind of running into untapped territory, it sounds like.
Pretty much. And it's not like there's not a lot of bearded men up here. I mean, we're in the Adirondacks. So it's farms and small towns and, Amish people and
yeah,
lots of, we have, mountain men and hikers and, old hippies and whatnot.
Awesome.
Running around up here.
That's awesome.
It's a hodgepodge of people up here.
Well, I know we really don't have a lot to talk about right now, but I did want to get you on, and I was excited that you actually were able to find some time for me because it's a rarity that I'm able to actually find the time to match up with somebody on the event day, the birthday of their chapter, and help, and it times out just perfectly with the podcast release date. Because you'll be on our next podcast episode talking about this a little bit, and so this will be the first opportunity some people hear about your chapter and the start that you're about to create there in upstate New York. So that's really a cool thing. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to whoever, and maybe it was you, I don't know, you'll tell me, whoever created that logo that's floating around that you guys posted today as well.
That's my co-captain, Joe the Scavenger.
Okay.
He's an amazing and creative artist. He hand drew that in a matter of probably half an hour on an iPad, and it's amazing.
Wow.
I couldn't ask for a better partner, friend, and brother. He's a hell of a photographer, artist, just all around creative gentleman.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure he'll hear it, but man, congratulations to you guys. That's such a cool thing, and that logo is awesome. It's always cool to see when a new chapter starts up, and you see the creativity and the kind of the mindset where they wanted to take their, because that's your logo's your tag, it's your label, it's how people are going to know you, and you guys did a really good thing with that one. That looks really cool. So congratulations again. Congratulations on the day. Congratulations. Get some rest, of course, but. Congrats on the huge day, huge announcement, and I'm just excited to see what you guys do up there, man. It's just another outreach of BV, and I'm sure you're going to kill it. You have the right mindset with it, so it's all good things, man.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
I can't wait to show everybody what we can do up here.
Well, definitely keep me posted because I'm going to be promoting everything that you do, everything I can that I hear about. It's one of the things that I love about this podcast is it gives me that chance to let other brothers around the world know what our brothers in other places are doing, but also people that aren't affiliated specifically with Bearded Villains. They hear about us and, I heard there might be a chapter over here. And so it's a great resource to, as I always say, it's not bragging about what you're doing. It's sharing with other chapters what you're doing because those ideas and that exchange of ideas about we're going to do this event, we're going to do this, it can promote other ideas at other places and make them say, hey, maybe we can try that here. So it's a really cool thing to see. So Chris, Puma, Blue, I can call you anything, man, but cool. So cool. You call you now captain of the Bearded Villains New York Upstate. Brother, I'm so happy for you. Good luck, and I can't wait to talk to you here in the future.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thanks for taking some time with me.
No problem.
All right. We are back. Such a cool thing. And it's just exciting when a new chapter emerges and we just see it. There's just kind of a breath of fresh air that happens in that area usually, and a rejuvenation. And it's just great to see. I love seeing the growth. I think I heard somewhere, somebody said what we're somewhere around 4,500. I don't want to completely quote that, but I heard a rumor that it was about 4,500 guys worldwide now. Still over 160 chapters, I think, and we're just growing, and it's very cool to see, because with each chapter now growing, they're growing under the same premise of in the same context that their previous chapter where those guys came from. So there's a push for brotherhood, there's a push for charity, and wanting to make a difference in the world and everything else. So it's just so exciting to see. So those guys up upstate New York, I'm excited because they've got a huge area up there that's untapped, and I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do up there. And they're probably going to have some people busting down their doors that would like to be a part of that. So, okay. Morgan, I knew someone would be here to tell me, because I figured there would be a more accurate count as of the census. So there it is. Morgan chimes in and tells us there's 153 chapters. Thank you, Morgan, for that. I do appreciate that. Good heads up. So now we know 153 chapters, and I'll start counting upwards from this point forward. So, man, exciting stuff, guys. All righty. So our board member, Sudi, who has been all over the place. I'm excited about this because, man, anytime you get a guy that's been around for a bit, that's seen the kinds of things that he has. Morgan's another one of these guys. And we have just, basically a handful of these guys out there in BV circles who've been around. And I just can't wait to get, each time you speak to one of these guys, there's new stories, there's new recommendations, new advice. And it's always refreshing to hear from their point of view how they look at or how they would talk to or recommend or, talk to a new guy, or even old guys that just need a refresher of, just kind of a wake-up call about what BV should be about. And man, so my interview with Sudi, man, I was excited. I was excited to get him on, and he did not disappoint, especially towards the end of the interview when I just kind of let him go. And just let him go. I just, ask a question and let him just go off with some advice. And that's where the best stuff happens. So here is my interview now, guys, with Sudi. And sit back, get your popcorn ready. It's a long one, but it's a good one. So hope you already went to the bathroom. My guest today comes from the Queen City Bearded Villain chapter. He is a board member. He is an honorary member at, just about, I can't even count the number of places. We're going to talk to him about that in just a second. If you know him well, the description that I've just given means that I'm talking about Sudi. How you doing today, Sudi?
I'm fine, thanks, bro. How are you?
Oh, man, I am so happy to finally talk to you. You've been on my list for a bit just because of all the cool things that you do in and out of the world of the Bearded Villains, and you've been around for a bit, a world traveler, and man, it's just crazy cool, some of the stuff you see. Your Instagram profile page is just like a vacation dialogue of all sorts of cool stuff in and out of the world of BV, so it's really cool to see. So thanks again for finding some time to talk to me a little bit here.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
you have been in BV since 2015?
Yes, sir.
And you were an originating member. You originally started out where?
In Switzerland.
Okay.
That's where one of my buddies, he contacted me. He got like, back in the days, he was like writing fun knocks, like, hey, I post you, you post me kind of thing, like pushing each other and beard movements. And like next day he got a patch like, hey, you're a prospect. He's like, what is this? So he started talking to people, and we founded the BBCH chapter back then.
Okay.
Started growing to 5 guys and creating a chapter and all that stuff.
So that's cool. You were actually an originating member of that chapter to start it up.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes, I was one of the first 5 for the BBCH chapter back in 15. Yeah.
So you have seen Bearded Villains from the ground up, starting from the bare minimums, and then you've actually been a part of so many other chapters in some way, shape, or form over the years too. Tell me a little bit about your Bearded Villain journey from where things started over there, starting with your original 5, to where you are now with Queen City.
All right, it's going to be a long story.
It's going to be a good one though.
Okay, well, yeah, like I said, it's like it even started like the guy that contacted me for BBCH, I knew him on Twitter. So we had contact on Twitter, and we followed each other on Instagram, which I think plus minus early on Instagram, with like starting 2012, 2013, whatever, with Instagram. So I already knew like all the functions and hashtag and searching and all that stuff. So that's how we back then started trying to find like-minded people. And we knew, okay, the Spirit at Willing things it's a movement, and there was no bylaws and stuff like now, or no rules or anything. So we had to try to find out, how does this even work, and talk to other people from back then that were a chapter already, like, hey, you have to do this is how you like use the hashtags, and this is how you apply for a chapter seal and all that. So once, when we were 5 guys, and we started scouting like back then actively. Like I even had an app where you could combine hashtags to search on Instagram, like a third-party app. And I could search for beard hashtag and like a city, like Zurich and beard, and whoever shows up with both hashtags, I'll contact these guys and text them like, hey, are you interested? And blah, blah, blah. This is what it's about.
That's a cool idea.
So yeah, that's how it started. Like, and with the few guys we were back then, pretty much from the beginning, the captain, which the original first patch BB Swiss guy, Jerry Sheen, he and the co-captain back then were like, yeah, you're going to be the scout. So that's what I became. That was like my first ever function, being like 3 guys in a not existing chapter, trying to create a chapter. So that's how it basically started in 2015 in Switzerland.
Wow. And then fast forward.
2016 is when it all started, with the meetings and stuff getting crazy. Like, that was the first ever Amsterdam meeting in spring 2016. And I went there not knowing anything, like how it's going to turn out. Just knew, okay, there's a few people in Europe, they're Bearded Villains, there's other chapters, I need to go there. So, and then I started to meeting people. I was there for 3 days, 4 days, or whatever, in 2016 with a few other Swiss guys. And that's when I got the whole feeling for like the meeting people, the connecting, seeing stuff the same. And that was the first guy back then, the captain from the Dutch chapter, Robbie, that ever created like a meeting in Europe.
Oh, cool.
And that's like, I don't know, that something clicked, and that's how my actual real journey started. Like trying to go everywhere and create own meetings, link up with people, get something started, and travel around. So that's where the whole traveling started. Was Amsterdam 2016.
Traveling Sudi was born.
Yeah, exactly.
He has his own
It's
hashtag
even a
now.
hashtag.
It
Did you
is,
see?
yeah.
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
seen it.
Yeah, there's about 100 pictures meanwhile under that hashtag from
Yeah.
all over the world. Yeah.
So how did you end up coming over to the States then?
Well, my mom's from the States
Okay.
and she moved to Switzerland because of my dad.
Okay.
So I was born in Switzerland, but we've been coming to the States ever since I was a baby. All summer vacations or whatever, we came over here. So I knew I want to live here ever since I was like, I don't know, 5th grade, 6th grade. I said I'll live in the States one day. So that's like three years ago or so, 2 years ago, when I quit my job over there and decided to move over here. And of course, what better chance than to combine a travel with such a big step of change?
Yeah.
So leaving Switzerland behind, moving to the States, before I'll have to find a job. That's the year in between that I took to travel.
Okay.
Because I didn't have anything. I sold everything over there. I moved from Switzerland to the US with one suitcase.
Oh my gosh.
And I came here, I had all my cash in the bank. I took a backpack and I started traveling with my backpack. Yeah.
How cool is that?
It was badass. I miss it, man. It was crazy year. It was amazing. So much stuff happened in the last 1.5 years. It's crazy.
So you literally moved to the States with a suitcase in hand, and then decided from there on out you just kept the money in the bank and went traveling.
Yeah.
Just put a
Until
bag
I had
over your
no
shoulder and
money
just take off. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. How cool is that? I mean, how freeing could that be? That's an incredible thing to do.
Yeah. That also changed a lot in my thinking and mind, and like about having actual belongings, material stuff I don't care for anymore. Like I started working again because I had to, of course, blowing all my money on travels. So I've been stocking up again in my bank account. I used to like waste all my money on stupid things. Now I don't even own anything, like I save all my money. I don't need anything. I have cheap Walmart clothing. I wear $7 shoes where I used to wear Jordans for $300,
Yeah. Well, it does. It
So,
puts it in perspective, especially when you go to other parts of the world, you see other countries. And I mean,
yes.
we here in the States are so focused on this drive for goods, drive for what do you have as a status symbol. And I unfortunately for myself, I've never been able to been out of the country traveling, just various parts of the country. But from
At least
everything I've seen, everything I've, from people that have been able to, and try to stay up to date on what's going on in the world as best you can. But it is kind of a sad thing that if you grow up here and this is all you're used to big portions of food. You're used to having, the availability to get the clothes and and if you are one of those that goes to college and, you have this, that, and the other. And I know that's not everybody's life, everybody's case, but when you go to other countries, you see bedrooms aren't as big as they are here in the States. And you see that, the money doesn't go as far as it does. And it's just, it's really refreshing, I think, to see in your case, especially where you were able to recognize that those little things don't matter. And you've been able to, I mean, how freeing it is. I think it's so cool that you're able to do that and travel like that, because that's what life's about, is being able to see things, enjoy things, experience things. So, how cool is that? That's just awesome, man.
Yeah, I love it.
So that's
what also blows my mind is the whole lifestyle, like on living on credit. Everybody pays off everything. You have a house, you have a car, you have a motorcycle, you have I don't know what else, but it's all borrowed. It's not yours.
Yeah.
So like the last 1.5 years, everything I wanted to get, because I have no credit score, I was unemployed. All I had to do is cash business. So everything I wanted, I had to go and buy my car. So I put a couple of grand's cash on a table, but it's mine now.
Right.
And a couple other things the same, like my cell phone, like whatever little things that I own, it's all paid for. So all my money I make, my salary, it goes into my bank account. There's no payments coming out of it.
Wow.
And that's a huge difference as well. A lot of people in other countries compared to the US, you know, if I lose my job, it's not like I cannot make a payment for my car and I lose my car and I cannot get a new job. Like stuff like that. People don't think about it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's, yeah, you grow up. I mean, I'm one of those people in that boat. We've got the mortgage. It's got the, I've got the car payments, and I've got the, that kind of stuff in life. And, it's a different thing for me to experience the thought of, hey, if I just wanted to up myself and just go over here and live for a bit, you can't really do that, but you can, if you decide you want to just take on a different thing in life, and new job, new experiences. So, man, that's a really cool thing. And I'm sure a weight off your shoulders to know that you don't have that huge amount of debt just hanging over them too.
Oh yeah.
So you are now a member of the Bearded Villains Queen City.
Yes.
And you, with traveling, I'm curious, how are you able to make that balance between what you want to do with friends, family, versus work, versus Bearded Villains, versus traveling? How are you able to make that balance work?
It's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
You got to decide. Well, I mean, luckily, the Queen City chapter is organized really well. We got pretty awesome leadership. We got good captain, co-captain, officers. They take care of everything. We had a meeting in January where they knocked out the schedule for the whole year already. So we have a meeting every month at a certain date. We know exactly when we meet, what we're going to do. We change every other month from a so-called brother meet. It's just us doing stuff like going to X throwing, have a couple of beers at the pool or whatever. And the other meeting is a charity meeting. Like we go somewhere, we do something for, let's say, we handed out food in Charlotte downtown. We met up in the morning, we spread breads, we made packages with fresh socks, bottled water, hygiene products and stuff, and handed those out. Then we just 2 weeks ago or so, we fixed up an older lady's house. We made her a new front porch. We cleaned out her garden, shrubberies, painted her, replaced some wood and painted her little, how I call it, her little shed in the garden and stuff like that. So, but all this, like the dates and everything, was laid out already in January. So I know when I have to show up. That's what we do. We put in our work. That's it. So also my family and friends know if I go on a vacation, I'm on my vacation.
Yeah.
If I got a family event, it's a family event that has to pass by the QC meetings. So sometimes I'm gone Saturday and Sunday, so I come home Sunday night and I go back to work. It is what it is. I chose my lifestyle, you know.
Yeah.
So it's my own fault.
Well, it's obvious. I know that the Bearded Villains have been a big part of your life, obviously, since 2015. And you've been so involved with not only your local chapters, wherever you were living at the time, but traveling around and visiting brothers from all over the world. How many, I know you're an honorary member at several chapters. How many chapters are you an honorary member at now? Do you even know?
5 or so.
Yeah.
Well, I'm with Queen City now, so that's my chapter, but I'm an honorary member of Switzerland, which I came from. Then I'm honorary Israel, which was a chapter that I founded as well.
No way.
when we had the first interested guy in Israel, I got the opportunity from the scouts. I was a scout already back then with scout committee and everything. That was in 16 or so. I took over the scouting and creating of the chapter of Israel. So I built that up till they had 5 guys to create their own chapter. And then the actual Captain Floddy, Mr. Freckles and Beard on Instagram, badass guy, by the way. He took over scouting for the next 5 guys. So he has his scout badge and he's the captain and scout for Israel now. So I'm honorary member there because I built up the whole thing basically with him.
Yeah.
And he's also a crazy traveler, man. I met him from Beersterdam 17 to Beersterdam 18 in that 1 year. We met each other 7 times.
Wow.
And that crazy fucker's from Israel, and I'm from Switzerland.
That's
met
insane.
in Amsterdam. We met in Birmingham. He flew into Switzerland to do a road trip with us going down to a meeting in Italy. He flew into Poland, took a road trip with the Polish guy to a meeting in Germany where we met up in Germany. And all kinds of crazy weird shit where we met like, I think it was 6 or 7 times in 1 year that we saw each other. That's how close we were. He slept at my house 2 times or 3 times. I went to meet him on his way to another meeting in London, I think. He went to visit family or something. He landed in Zurich. So I drove to Zurich. It's like a half-hour drive from where I lived just to go have a coffee with him on his way for the next flight.
Jeez.
So that's what BB does. You connect with people that actually become your real family.
Yeah.
We do video chats. I say hi to his mom and dad and sisters and stuff like that, It's crazy.
So were you actually in Israel, or were you acting as a scout for Israel from Switzerland?
Everything from Switzerland. Wow. I've never made it yet, but it's one big goal of mine to go to Israel one day.
Wow. So what kind of, I can't even imagine the struggles that is to do scouting for another chapter, to try and create another chapter when you're not even there. What's that like?
Well, that's like why you have the people there already. So I was like really just like a right hand. Once we had 2 guys down there, which were the captain and the co-captain afterwards. Most of the stuff they did with my help. They ask me stuff, I guide them. I bring their guys, which they have. I bring them through scouting for them and stuff like that. So it was really just like the whole setup for the first couple of guys till they're a chapter where they needed my help and my guidance. And like I find somebody from Israel, like with my tools that I had and stuff, I send it to him and say, hey, look, here's a guy from Israel. Why don't you hit him up and see what you can do with him, if you can use him or not? And so he went through a couple of guys, like, he knew from the beginning from myself, like, because I was pretty strict on the quality over quantity. Mm-hmm. So he had a pretty long time till he had his first 5 together where we were like confident that it's going to work. And those guys, most of them are still there and still around after 3 years, 4 years. And so he had a couple of supporters that were in and then out again. And we didn't go further with them. But they do nice things in Israel, man. They're a great chapter.
That is so cool. Have you even been able to, do you even know how many how many countries and chapters you've actually visited by now? It's.
I'd have to count them. Yeah, I couldn't tell off the top of my head.
You'd need more than both hands.
Yeah, I made an actual list of all my meetings that I had. Meetings that I've been to that I like, real meetings, not like, let's say I went to Brazil on vacation for a week and I met with some guys there, but it was not like a meeting or something. I didn't count it. Like I drove through the whole country. I drove through 26 states in the US and I met up with people. I stayed at somebody's house, or I grabbed a beer with somebody.
Yeah.
But if they actually had a meeting, like in North Texas, I was going to South Texas. It was never my plan to go to North Texas, but they had a charity event at the time I was driving through Texas. So Scrappy from North Texas was like, "Hey, we got a cornhole tournament. Why don't you show up?" So I went there, and that was an actual meeting because it was their charity event, the cornhole tournament.
Right.
So I count something like that, I count as a meeting.
Okay.
So now, with having defined what a meeting is, I think on my actual list now I'm up to 41 meetings or something like that.
Wow. And that's not even counting the ones you're talking about where you've had a bunch of those where you've just met up with guys from different chapters just to hang out in an unofficial capacity like that, man. That's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I don't know how many countries or chapters those 41 meetings would be. It's probably like, I don't know, maybe 20 chapters, 25 or 10 countries, or I don't know.
It's impressive, man. Anybody that wants to spend some time and just look at some amazing photography, some cool scenery, check out his Instagram page, because he's got so many cool pictures of different events that he's been to, other traveling sooty adventures where he's on the top of some mountainscape or something like that, and he's just got some really, really cool pictures that he's been in. I envy the people like yourself that are able to travel the world like that, and it's just it's a cool thing. I mean, I don't even have a passport right now. I need one because I know I need one because there are a handful of chapters that have invited me and told me I got to get there, and that's just a matter of, as I said before, trying to sort it out with the wife and make sure she's going to allow me to separate myself for a bit, or for me to go. Otherwise, she said, "Well, I'm going to go if you go." And then that's a whole different thing, because then we got to worry about arranging childcare for the week or two that we're gone.
Yeah.
So it's a different story altogether.
But yeah, man, if you get the chance, there's no better way than traveling with BB. You got the inside people, you got the locals. They can take you to places where you would get screwed as a tourist. They'll show you where you get the best food and what place to see. Like, I don't know, private waterfalls nobody knows about in the tourist area and stuff. You can, most of the time, you can sleep somewhere. Even if you can sleep somewhere, you still have like the locals guide, and you can meet up and they'll tell you what to do or where not to go, so you don't get shot or whatever if you're walking around Colombia all by yourself in the night, stuff like that.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you can come off, because you have your accent, you can at least come off as an international traveler that's not an American. So we when we travel to certain countries, we are not liked very often, I've heard.
Yeah,
so,
that's true, unfortunately.
Yeah. So those uppity Americans, even though we may not have that personal feeling that we don't think of ourselves as that way, but the Americans have developed that for some reason. I'm sad to say they've developed that image in the eyes of the rest of the world, I think, a lot of times.
Yeah, the problem is because it's people just take the country as a whole regarding on their president or whatever we did. At some point we went to a war or something people don't like. That doesn't mean 350 million Americans are stupid, because some Americans don't know the difference, because what a Swiss or a Swede is, everybody's like, "Oh, you speak Swedish?" No, I don't. I speak Swiss. I'm from Switzerland. It's like 5,000 miles lower than Sweden, but never mind, Americans.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
It's pre-justice,
Yeah, I used to consider myself back in my high school days, that in junior high and high school days, that I knew world geography really well. And I was that kid that I knew all the state capitals and states and all that stuff about, I prided myself on all that information. And if somebody quizzed me about where Czechoslovakia was, back in the day, I could say, it's around this, but now as you get older, you forget things. And so when I've been talking to different chapters and different brothers from the UK, from Sweden, from all over the place, I have to actually go out to a map and just make sure I look and see, okay, now what,
What's
I had
around?
and I had to do, the typical American thing where I had to research, what consists of the UK. What does the UK consist of? Because I would venture a guess to say that, and you'll laugh at this because you've traveled the world, but you'll probably laugh at the fact that I would venture a guess to say that 80% of Americans, if you ask them in the 30 to 50 age group, even, if you ask them, what's the difference between Great Britain, between the UK, and England, you're going to get so many different answers out there. Well, it's all the same, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Isn't it? It's all the same. Well, who was the American War of Independence? Who did you fight for that? Well, wasn't it the British people or the UK? It was the UK, wasn't it? Or no? Was it Sweden? I don't. It's like people are just dumb.
It happens
you
a
may
lot,
learn you may learn it. You may learn it at one time in life, and then you forget about it, and it's always disturbing. But we do come off as uneducated, sadly, and and the other thing too, I've laughed about this when I've talked to guys from, especially when I was talking to some of our brothers over in Switzerland, and some of the UK guys that I've talked to also have said, it's funny, they all speak more than one language, and in some cases 3 or 4. And here we are as Americans, and we're like put off by the fact that you expect me to learn something other than English. How dare you?
Yeah, exactly.
And for a long time, I was like that. And I've tried to step up my game a little bit as an adult now and say, I want to try and learn Spanish, and I want to, so I've got the Rosetta Stone thing on my phone, so I can try and learn some of that, so that I can communicate a little bit, at least hopefully one day conversationally with some of our brothers from around the world, and not expect them to know my language.
Yeah, see, that's also even how BV starts changing minds. We got this core values. We like when you were younger, you thought different, and now you think like that. Like, you want to know more stuff and learn something, and not be as ignorant as you were before, maybe. So BV has a good impact.
Did you just call me dumb?
I would never dare.
Just kidding. Well, let me ask you this, because I know a lot of people, knowing that you are, knowing your background and knowing how much you've been a part of the Bearded Villain community for so long, you are a board member, and I'm sure a lot of people might be curious that aren't aware of what that entails. What is being a BV board member about? What do you do as a board member, and how do you actually get picked or elected or chosen to be a board member?
Well, it's a funny question. Being a board member, you could think of, I don't know, most of the time being like a kindergartner, trying to make peace between little screaming babies, which we call elite bearded men, of course. But sometimes it's high school glee class or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, besides all the daily crazy stuff going on with, what are we now, the newest census, 4,500 people, I think. So you got some troubles in some corner of the world almost every week or a couple of times a month that you have to solve stuff in the background. People never even get to know or see what kind of cases we handle or try to solve, so it doesn't escalate and stuff like that. And of course, you have all the committees. Well, meanwhile, it's really good organized. We have all these, the bylaws over the last few years, all that stuff. In the beginning was mission statement. Then at some point, maybe the code of conduct, and then some rules. And now it's this huge rule book to define stuff. You can read up stuff, and captains should know how to lead their chapters. And everybody should know the same. It's not like people are lost in the Wild West, like in 2015, like what's happening? How does this work? So we make sure that rule book is taken serious, and if somebody does something that violates it, most of the time it's people bringing stuff to us.
Yeah.
And then of course those committees, like creating a chapter, you want to become a chapter, you have the chapter committee, with all the artwork, with the rules, with the logos. You have a art committee. Then we have scouts committees. Now we have the new learning chat for captains. If somebody wants to become a new captain, they got to go through learning chat. So we have the new new captains chat committee.
One of the ways I think it's best been explained is that the board members are basically the parents of BV.
Yeah.
And you have to do what parents do. You have to calm people down sometimes. You have to explain the rules to people sometimes. You have to, be the referee between other people sometimes. And sadly, you're going to be a referee between grown men. But as you say, between the elite bearded men of the world. And so I know that that's not always an easy thing, but I think it's a great thing that you're a part of and that you're able to do that. And that as you look around, there's so many guys represented by the board. Do you have, not to put you on the spot or anything like that, do we know how many board members there actually are and how many countries are represented? Because if you look around at Instagram profiles, you'll see this captain of this chapter over in Europe is a board member, and this other guy's a board member here. And it's very spread out, which is nice because you get a great cross section.
Yeah, that's basically the goal, is to have, I would say, at least like every continent represented. So we have an actual board member list of who's a board member and where they're from, like in the captain's chat, or maybe even in the members' chats. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But at the moment, I think we're 19 board members from US, Europe, South America, Australia. We used to have a guy from Asia. I think that's plus minus this.
So are the board members appointed by Von Knox, or is there some sort of do people get nominated for it, or how does that work?
Well, I'm not sure, honestly, how it all started. I'm in it since 2017. Before that, I think it was just probably by Von Knox or a couple of guys that were like thinking, hey, we should do something. And they were around along, and they started with the rules because there was nothing. And they're like the working horses. They were put together in a group. And at some point, when Europe back then was getting bigger and stronger, and we had organized like the European Council and the Europe page for Europe, the BV Europe page, all that stuff was like, there was like a little bit like US or the world, the other world, with like Von Knox and the BV page. And then Europe came with the BV Europe page and the European Council, where there was everybody represented from every country in Europe. Like we did our own little thing. And then at some point, somehow, the discussion started about we need more board members, European people in the board or something like that. And then we had a captain's committee, I think already too back then. And somehow I got from the Europe Council into the captain's council or whatever. And they had actual votes, I think, Von Knox or the BV page, or I'm not sure if it went through some kind of chat. I don't remember anymore exactly.
Okay.
It was asked for people to bring up names of who should be a board member.
Great.
And somehow I got into that vote in the top 10 or whatever, and I became a board member. So I've been a board member since then, just because people in Europe and wherever knew me and thought I might be a fit. Because also back then I traveled a lot, knew a lot of people, was interested, tried to keep up with all the regulations and knowing stuff. And somehow through that, some people in Europe thought I should be on the board, and that's what happened.
Okay. I know everybody's a little bit different story on that regard, but it's interesting to hear, because there's guys, like you say, there's guys from all over the world representing a wide variety of chapters, small and large, that are on that board. So it's great to see. It's really great to see. And the most recent bylaws that did come out, they were very comprehensive, and I think they were done in a way that answered a lot of questions. It was neat to see it written in the way that it was, because in looking at them, I think a lot of people's questions that they've always wondered about, they're right there spelled out now, and it seems like some of those questions you might have had to hunt for before. So this most recent version of the bylaws, I think, will really help out a lot of people with some questions. So I'm glad that the work was put in for that, for sure. Yeah, awesome. Well, man, you've been around for so long and you've experienced so many things. One of the things that I really want to ask you about, one of the last things really that I want to ask you about is talking a little bit about inspiration, and asking you about in all the things that you've seen and all the brothers that you've met, events that you've been at, what are some of the things about the Bearded Villains that just drives you and it really inspires you as you look forward to the future with BV?
Good question. Hard to say, I guess. I'm so in it already that I don't even know. What I just, I guess, still really like the best is actually doing something, putting in work. Like, I mean, I see a lot of people selling stuff, trying to make money, bring out merch or whatever, and just like, hey, we donated the check. Woohoo, here's the money for so and such. But we've always, like back in Switzerland, it was like that. We did stuff because people already, most of the time in Switzerland, almost all people have everything already. So we went to do clothes drives. We collected clothing to bring clothes to the poor people. Or we did an event called Decorate the Beard, where people came by and they paid a certain amount to decorate our beards, and that money went for cancer refund. That was also collecting money, of course, but we did stuff for it. And or now in Switzerland, they did cleanup day. They went out, they cleaned up mountain, lake areas and paths, hiking paths and stuff like that. And now here in Queen City, it's the same. We go out, we do stuff. Now with the bylaws, we decided in Queen City to not become a charity organization officially with the 501.
Okay.
See, whatever you want to call it. So we're not going to be able to sell stuff and make profit and whatever. So we just put in work. And that's what I would like to see much more, because my inspiration, I would say, is seeing the people recognizing what our mission statement says. Like, that's how it all started, and why Bearded Villains was created, is to fight the pre-justice of the bearded men. It's not like, hey, look, there's the biker gang guy, or hey, he's a Taliban terrorist, or you're a dirty hobo, a bum, or whatever. It's going out there, being a group, 10, 50, 20 bearded guys, even with cuts or whatever kind of work shirt you want to wear. You walk downtown, people look at you strange. And you do something nice, you hand out food, you clean up the streets, they're like, whoa, shit, these people are dope.
Yeah.
And that's what changed the community and the thinking, and what you want to see in the people's face, like that click. The moment they realize, okay, these guys might be different. That's the inspiration. It's not sitting at home, creating a design, ordering a patch and selling it, and go on a photo shoot for donating a check. We did charity, you know?
Right. Yeah. That's what it's
So
about.
I think seeing the change happening in the face of people, when a big guy, I'm 6'2", and 250 pounds. So usually people, they change the side of the road when I come. Or if we're 10 guys in my size come, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
So if they see, wow, y'all are cool. What do you do? What are you about? They start asking, and you can tell them. That's what I want. I want to know the people heard of us and knew what we do, and we're actually changing thinking process, and we're out there in the community doing stuff.
Yeah.
It's not just we're a post on a Instagram page for donating money.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. That the service part of it to me is what really drives it home too, and the charity aspect, the being able to put your say the boots on the ground mentality, where you plant your feet and you can go and help out, whether it's clean up, create, build, do whatever you can. One of my favorite things that I've taken part in several times now is working with a charity organization that builds beds for kids that don't have beds, and
Hallelujah.
that kind of stuff, you can't even you try to explain it to people, but you can't explain the feeling of looking into a child's eyes or looking into a person's eyes that you have found some way to put a positive spin on their life or give them some sort of a positive message, a positive feeling for the day. You just can't put a value on that, and it's immeasurable. So
That's what I wish many more people would do.
Yeah.
Also with traveling South America, like what I've seen in some of these countries, how people live. You mentioned children's not having beds. I mean, the Peruvian chapter or Colombian chapter, they do so much stuff, and those people, some of them themselves, they might not have a lot.
Yeah.
Or those people might be better off than most of these people because they're maybe educated, they went to school, they have a better job. But still, you drive 20 minutes from where they live. There's people like in Peru, the chapter actually helped in like a barrio where people lived. They didn't have water or nothing. There was a family living in like a, steel sheet fixing house kind of weird thing without running water and nothing. They went there and they laid pipes and made sure that that family has running water in their house so the children can take a shower, to go to school clean and stuff like that. So they put work in. They don't have much themselves. They might meet up, put a little bit of money in, and cook rice and chicken and go hand it out in little bags for poor people. You don't need a lot. They don't have much themselves, but still, even though they have nothing, they still give more. And we have everything here, and we don't even want to share something. So you can learn a lot in South America.
Oh man, I am floored when I talk to those guys from the chapters from South America, because it's such a big area and they have to cover such a huge area with one chapter, and then several hundred miles, thousands of miles before they get to another chapter. And listening to some of those guys talk about, and I've said this before in the podcast, that when some of these guys have to travel by plane in order to do some charity event, the charity work that they want to do. I know the Columbia guys did they rebuilt a house for a kid who needed it because he was so sick and couldn't live in the house that he was currently in, and they took part in helping to do that. But in order to do so, some of these guys had to get on a plane to be able to go there, and other guys that didn't get on a plane, you're talking 8-9 hours easy driving. Yeah. And I hate to say it, but we're spoiled here in the States. Some guys complain, do I want to travel, an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to this charity event?
Some chapters want to split up over driving 30 minutes in a car. Like, we need another chapter. I'm not willing to drive more than half an hour to meet my brothers.
Yeah. Screw
you, man. Really.
Yeah. There's truth to that. There is. But, other times where it just makes sense to, that because of the numbers, and you can make a better impact with the growth. I know that's been the case lately. We've had a few chapters spur up as new chapters just because of the proximity to another group of the guys, and it's just easier now that we can branch out and grow in this area where there's only one bearded villain within a few hundred miles. And so the growth part of it I really like, but I just
it makes sense.
I'm put off by sometimes the desire, because I know we have guys all over the country, all over the world, like you've done, that will go take part in another chapter's charity event or in another chapter's whether it's a beard competition or a cleanup event or something else that they're doing, and they don't think twice about traveling 5, 6, 7 hours. And that's what I love to see. When you just drop what you're doing, you know that they need the manpower, they know they need the help. So I'm glad you touched on that, because the charity aspect is one of my favorite parts of it, and the giving back in the tangible way. And I love the story, and you've been around long enough, and as a board member especially, you've been around long enough now that you know the story of how Bearded Villain started, and how when it began, Von Knox didn't even see the charity aspect of it as an option. It wasn't even on his radar. And because of the guys like yourself that have been around starting chapters and doing things from the get-go, because of the efforts of you guys and the original, originating chapters in 15, made it what it is today. So, and realized the impact that the Bearded Villains could have if only we take that step. And so, as somebody who's only been in for a couple years now, I'm coming up on my 3rd year before too long. I think I've lost track of myself, but I have to say congratulations and thank you to you and to everybody else who's been around and contributed and led the way for everybody else after in such a way like that. I was going to ask you for some advice that you would give to a new guy coming in, and what kind of advice you give to somebody that's just starting Bearded Villains. I'll give you a chance to say something to that if you want to, or we can just leave it at
Sure.
the charity aspect, but that's up to you. What would you say to somebody like that?
I mean, go with the flow. It has to be natural. I mean, I've seen too many people trying to want to fit in something that's not what they're actually cut out for. Like all these people that are here still since 14, 15, BV is a lifestyle. It's like I'm BV 24/7. It's not like I turn it on or off like I want to. I get up in the morning, I go on the line chat. I'm on Instagram. I got people that have my phone number. They send me texts or different other chatting apps or whatever. So you got to go with the flow and find out, is this something for me naturally that fits my schedule that I want to be a part of? Like you said, a lot of people, they're willing to drive somewhere for a reason. Are you type of person? You're going to make time for it once a month or every how often it is to take time for that. Are you going to be active? Are you going to be in your chat? Are you going to be interested to learn things? First of all, you need to find out how you match with your chapter. Is it a yes or a no? If you don't fit in, then don't try to. It's not going to work out on the long term. I'm kind of sick and tired of seeing people getting patched, and as soon as they have the villain patch, they vanish and they're gone.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you're in that chapter, find out everything you need to know. Be interested. Learn the bylaws. Find out what you need to know. What do you have to do? And if you know all those things, you're interested, you want to, you know it, that's when you're really a BV in my eyes, And then that's where it starts, giving it forward, teaching other people. You're in then half a year, another one comes in, there's a supporter. Give him the advice as well. Tell him from your mistakes, what did you learn? What would you do different? What do you have to know? Like if I give advice to somebody, the first thing I tell them is, man, be active online, read the notes. There's so many chats online, on the app line.
Yeah.
There's so many chats. And even in the important chats, there's so much bullshit being talked.
Yeah.
So make sure stuff doesn't get lost. Check your app, open it up, go on the notes. Don't care for the chat. You can jump to the back, to the bottom. You don't have to read everything. I don't care. Read the notes.
Yeah.
Stay on top of things. And have people on the radar, stay in contact, follow hashtags, look up themes, look up people, get to know them, build a network, even if it's social, if it's only online. Once you go to meeting, you start meeting the people that you had known online for a few months or a year or whatever. It's going to be so awesome to meet these people. And you will want to go and travel more and meet more people.
Yeah.
You know?
Man.
And if you're not made for it, just step out. Leave it to the people that want to. You don't have to act something that you're not.
Man, gold. Nothing but gold, man. I'm pulling out of you exactly what I was hoping to hear. You know, it's seriously, I mean, these are things that guys, even the guys that have been around for over a year, they need to hear this stuff. And especially right now, because with the pandemic stuff going on right now, guys have been separated for so long and not been able to see each other. And some guys that were really, really excited about the Bearded Villains and really had a drive for it and everything it stood for, in this time that we've been away, a lot of that has fallen off. And so I think everything you just said is gold for that reason, because it's coming from a guy who's seen just about everything you can see in Bearded Villain. And, you know, it's a refresher. It's a reminder to say, okay, let's get back to basics, guys. Pay attention to what's important. Let the BS of all the other stuff, the teenage drama that that gets encrypted into the BV circle sometimes, let that fall to the wayside, and let's just move forward as brothers doing what we know we should be doing.
Exactly.
To make a difference.
100.
So, man, Sudi, I am so happy that I got to talk to you today. I can't wait to finally give all 6'2" of you a big ass hug and
that'd be great.
say I can't wait to meet you, but in person. But you're doing some amazing. You have done amazing things, and you're continuing to do it. You're continuing to be a great example for everybody that's come after you. And like I said, even people that are some of the OG people that just need a reminder. Too often, some of the guys that have been around as long as you have kind of lost sight and just kind of hover anymore.
I kick their asses when I can.
That's good though. We need it. We need it. So you are definitely needed for sure. And I'm so glad that I got to talk to you today. So I can't wait to find out how things go for you in the future, man. And the other chapters that you're able to visit. I'm going to follow the Traveling Sudi hashtag like crazy, and give me some ideas on where I need to go in the world. I'm sure I can. I'm definitely going to be hitting you up as far as what to do when I'm in certain countries when I do travel, as well as the local guys for sure. What would Sudi do? Yeah. We need to get that on a bracelet. What would Sudi do?
What would Sudi do? Barbecue and beer. Well, wherever you go, you got to try it.
You can't go wrong with barbecue and beer. There you go. Man, I'm so happy to talk to you. Thanks again so much for being here. And I will. It was an honor. Thanks. I will catch you soon at some regional meet, I'm sure.
Sounds great.
All right. Take care, bud.
All right.
See you.
Have a good one. You too. Bye-bye.
Wow, guys. I mean, I just want to take that last 10 minutes of that interview and just piece it together and be able to play that for anybody that's kind of losing their way a little bit within BV, somebody that's new, the guys that have been around for a little bit that just kind of seem deflated and just don't have the enthusiasm for it anymore like they once did. And they still do, but it's deep down, it's hidden. And I just want to take that little morsel that he gave us at the end there, and just package it and keep it. And if anybody ever says, well, I don't know what's BV about, boom, right there. I'm going to play it for you. You're going to sit there and listen, and we're going to take it from there. And this is going to reset things for you. And so such a great interview. I'm so glad I did. I did get a chance to finally narrow him down, and Michael, you're right. Gold, absolutely gold. That's what I said when he finished talking. I said gold. If there were a way that I could do a mic drop here on the live video or during his interview, I would have. And I think If I was up on stage in a capacity where I was interviewing him on a stage, I would have just walked off and just left it. Nothing else to say. And yeah, so Sudi, much love and respect, buddy. And I'm so glad that we could connect, and can't wait to see you in the future. And yeah, that's all we'll say. Guys, if you are looking for an all-natural beard oil that will not only tame your beard and coarse hairs, but make your beard soft and smell amazing, check out Pulpo Beard Oils. Veteran-owned and made for today's beards, Pulpo Beard Oils and beard products combine the best beard ingredients on the market with incredible customer care and customer service. Whether you're looking for a beard wash, beard oil, beard balm, or some fun clothing, Pulpo is the place to go. Feel fresh, feel savage, feel confident with Pulpo Beard Oils. Go to pulpobeardoils.com. That's Pulpo beardoils.com. Use the code The Heart of a Villain for a discount on your order. All right, guys. Well, we're going to spin this thing in, man. We're going to spin it around. Got some calendar events, issues, and events to talk about here. And man, it seems like every week or two we get another one that we can add to this list. And I'm always excited to be able to do that, because times come and we need to be back doing our stuff. So villains being villains, changing the world. So coming up, August 29th, the Crossroads Beard Fest will be held and hosted by the Bearded Villains North Mississippi. It's at Orrin Dunn Museum, 689 Rutherford Road in Tupelo, Mississippi. It's a family-friendly and FHL beard competition. They're also going to have a cornhole tournament, cookout. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'd love to go if I can make that work. August 29th for the Crossroads Beard Fest in Tupelo, Mississippi. Then September 11th to the 13th is the Four Corners Meet. The Four Corners Meet is in Cortez, Colorado, and it's a brothers-only meet, as I've been told. Brothers only for some good hangout time and brothers. Being brothers, getting to be brothers in brotherly way. If that makes any sense. Maybe I took that a little too far. So that's September 11th through the 13th for the Four Corners meet. September 25th through the 27th is the Missouri Valley 2nd anniversary. They're going to have a beard competition with vendors, door prizes. A meet and greet is at the Last Hotel's rooftop, 1501 Washington Avenue in St. Louis. The beard competition then is from 1 to 5 at Four Hands Brewing Company, 1220 South 8th Street in St. Louis. That's September 25th to the 27th. There's also a farewell brunch on that as well, but that's to be determined. Then October 3rd is the Battle of the Beards 2020. Hosted by the Bearded Villains of Southern Indiana, benefiting the Gresham House. It's at the American Legion Post 44. That's at 711 State Street in Newburgh, Indiana. Battle of the Beards 2020, October 3rd in Southern Indiana. Then October 16th and 17th is the 4th Florida Summit. That's right, the 4th Florida Summit. Details forthcoming, because it's just going to be a fly by the seat of the pants type of thing, at least right now. Details hopefully will be coming out soon in Pensacola Beach, Florida. I'm looking forward to going down for that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. Pensacola Beach, Florida, October 16th and 17th for the 4th Florida Summit. And then the last one I've got on here, October 24th. Keep your eyes out if you're in the Midwest, or if you can make it over here. The BVIN, my chapter, Bearded Villains of Indiana, has the 5th anniversary. We have a weekend planned of events, and we're still working on some details. Details will be forthcoming. But October 24th in Indianapolis, Indiana, for the Bearded Villains Indiana 5th anniversary. All right, guys. Also, as I've said before, and if you're still interested in doing so, I'm going to be closing down the shirt orders for a time being, before too long, at least for a little bit of time. So if you are interested in getting any shirts, patches, pins, by all means, get out to the heartofavillain.simplecast.com. The patches and pins will be available, but the shirts are going to be closed out for a little bit for some restocking purposes and whatnot. But trying to get some things on hand if I can, but right now they are made to order. That's why there's a little bit of a delay when you order them. So if you're interested in that, heartofavillain.simplecast.com. All right, guys. I just want to acknowledge again, thanks for everybody for being here. Hillbilly, I appreciate your kind words. It was an amazing interview. I really appreciate that. And yeah, Tim, I do appreciate your kind words also. Thank you so much for being here. And man, I can't say enough. I can't say enough thanks to you guys. You guys, I say it every time. The Heart of a Villain, this podcast is as much mine as it is yours, and or yours as it is mine, either way you put it. So wouldn't be here without you guys, and that's all I have to say about that. But thanks again for being here. I do greatly appreciate it. So guys, that's going to wrap up episode 39 of The Heart of a Villain. Special thanks again to Blue and Sudi for tuning in with me and having some good interview time. Such a good time talking to these guys. Don't forget, guys, the heart of a villain never stops beating. And finally, guys, as always, remember, it's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. So for now, have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy the week ahead. Take care and stay safe.
One brotherhood, one ship, we grind hard for each other, down for the cause. That's why I call you my brother. And when it's time to give back, we help another. Try to leave a change in the world to be discovered. From my chapter to yours, we're all one, no borders. Don't get it twisted like contortionists in close quarters. My crew has more heads than peeps cleaning up on borders. When Blah, Jelly, and I, we come together, transformers. So when we meet up, handshakes, brews, and salutes. Every brother is different, fingerprints and attributes.